Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about another one of our favorite cartoon animated shows out there. I'm of course talking about Family Guy. Today they've come up for two reasons. Recently they've had two new stories break that I want to talk about in light of current events. You see, recently Family Guy premiered its new season in a new episode that is very funny and interesting for a couple of reasons. Specifically, they goof on Canadians for being betas in that episode, which I thought was great. That's an awesome joke that I make here on the show all the time. So we're going to get to that eventually. But first, we're going to reference a more recent story that's been ongoing. Something that happened over the summer was a lot of voice actors retired from their roles because there was this whole controversy. You, of course, have heard about the pandemic and then the riots and the whole BLM controversy going on this summer. They've all kind of swarmed together. And essentially what happened was after these riots sparked because of arrests gone wrong, there was this whole big race-baiting pro-black phase in the media, which resulted in a lot of these acting projects getting woke and trying to virtue signal by retiring from their roles, particularly when white people voiced minority characters. There was a lot of actors who retired from those roles. Specifically in this case, the actor who played Cleveland Brown for many, many seasons on Family Guy, he recently retired in light of this controversy. He's played that character for, like I said, decades on Family Guy. They're in their 19th season now. And in addition, he did like 5 or 6 seasons of a spin-off show featuring Cleveland and his family. So he's been doing this forever, but all of a sudden it's 2020. Now it's controversial. And he had to retire from that role in light of everything that's going on. Now, in his case, I can understand it. I wouldn't want that backlash personally. It's definitely caving in and it's definitely giving into the outrage mob. But this guy's already a multi-millionaire. He's already got plenty of prospects. I'm sure he can move on to another show very easily. So there's no sense in standing his ground either if he doesn't want to get woke and political. So it's a bit understandable, but still disappointing. And the follow-up to that is since the new season premiered, we also have a new voice for Cleveland. This article has more details. It says Family Guy casts YouTube star as new voice of Cleveland Brown. Mike Henry stepped down in June. That's the previous actor who did a great job of him for many years. And now we have this YouTuber taking over the role. Apparently his name is Arif Zahir. We'll see what else this article has to say about it. Family Guy have announced that YouTuber Arif Zahir will voice the role of Cleveland Brown on the show going forward. Original voice actor Mike Henry stepped down from the role back in June, saying that while it had been an honor to play the character since the show's inception, persons of color should play characters of color. Zahir, who has done a number of impressions of Cleveland on his YouTube channel, will take on the role from season 19 of the Fox series. Henry will also continue to play other characters such as Bruce and Herbert. Speaking about joining Family Guy, Zahir said, "Firstly, I'm eternally grateful to have received this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. When I heard that Mike Henry was stepping down from the role of Cleveland, my favorite character of all time, I was shocked and saddened, assuming we'd never see him again. When I learned I would get to take over the role, overabundant gratitude. To Mike, you created something truly special, and I promise I will do my best to honor your legacy. To Rich Apple, Alex Sulkin, and Seth MacFarlane, thank you for this incredible gift. And to the millions of fans who love this show, I promise not to let you down. I welcome Arif to the Family Guy team," Henry said. Arif's vocal talent is obvious, but his understanding of Cleveland and his respect for the character give me confidence that he is in the right hand. I look forward to getting to know Arif and working with him to make sure Cleveland stays every bit as awesome as he's always been. So this is an update on that story. We covered it before, of course. We talked about Henry stepping down. Now we have this new actor stepping in, and I have a few questions. I'm not trying to question anything, but is this guy black? Because I thought we had to have black actors play black characters. I thought it was about having the same actor play the same character, but it doesn't appear to be the case. I mean, if you judge by his name, Arif Zahir appears to be a Middle Eastern name. Let's check. So it doesn't look like there's any concrete information on his background. He's very likely is half black or part black, but he has this interesting Middle Eastern name, which makes me question it. I'm not like suspect. I'm not trying to like pick apart the whole thing too much, but according to them, I mean, this is going by their logic. They say it's offensive if a different race plays a different character in animation. Now, this is ridiculous on its own. It's a very silly premise, and it also limits the number of jobs that voice actors can play. They act like they think they're helping, but if you make it so you can only play your own race, you're making every actor limited, even the minority ones. That means black actors can't play white characters, brown ones can't play black ones, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's how it should play out, but the problem is it's actually not as simple as that. It's very much more complicated. It's not about being fair or having direct representation. The truth is, it's really about less white people voicing parts. So if a white person voices any other character that's not white, that's the problem. But a black person can voice another race. This person can be half Arab and voice a black character that's traditionally like full American black, not really connected to him very much. But yeah, the point is, this is an anti-white move, and Family Guy has caved in. Apparently they tapped this guy. He's like some kind of YouTuber. I haven't heard of him before, but that's just the beginning of the story. The casting news comes after it was revealed last week The Simpsons had recast Better Things actor Alex Desert as Carl Carlson after Hank Azaria stepped down from the role. Meanwhile, Family Guy have also tapped Sam Elliott to take over as mayor of Quahog following the death of original mayor Adam West. The latter, who passed away in 2017, voiced a fictionalized version of himself for over 100 episodes. An executive producer, Richard Apple, has explained that Elliott won't be playing just himself either. Elliott just felt like he didn't want to play himself, he revealed, which made us go back thinking, well, all right, is there someone else? And we thought, wait a minute, that note is a smart note, because that was more what Adam West was doing. And the new mayor shouldn't be another real-world celebrity playing himself within our fictional world. So we kicked around a bunch of ideas and then said, what if we refashion this as a Wild West for Sam Elliott and create this new character? And he responded very well to that idea. So there's a lot of changes in the show, a lot of updates. Nothing wrong with that either. It just sucks to see this woke thing happen and this kind of hypocritical replacement with some nobody. The other thing worth noting is, like, since this guy had done impersonations of Cleveland before, I assume they're pretty good and popular, but the problem is he's like impersonating someone else doing a character. It's not like he's doing his own character or he's like embodying Cleveland truly. It's like a personation of Cleveland. I don't know how well that's going to play off in the real world, but that seems to be what they're going with. They could probably get this guy on the cheap, and since he's like some kind of minority, they're going to get away with it. Next, I want to move forward and talk about that new episode that premiered last week. I watched it. I had a good laugh. Definitely not the best or the worst. Not super political either, but there was some good references in there that I want to go over. This article has details about the whole episode, and specifically what I noticed was them, again, making fun of Canada, goofing on Canada, calling them these betas who have these weird, boring shows. And this is in reference to another show that they goof on called Caillou. Caillou is this kind of like Canadian cartoon, and it kind of reminds me of Arthur, because Arthur is a Canadian cartoon we talked about here recently, and it's one of those kids cartoons that also is like a little influential and has a little politics snuck in there. I think that's why Family Guy might have discussed it, but for now, let's read this article and see what they say. It says, Family Guy discusses Stewie's first words. What is he in denial about? Sunday's Family Guy premiere attempted to answer a question fans have been asking since '99. Who can understand Stewie? The issue arose after Stewie loudly dropped the F-bomb in the middle of church. It was a natural response to hearing that Chewy Chips Ahoy cookies weren't being served at coffee hour, but the time and place and pretty much everything else made it less than ideal first word. Upon realizing that she was the one who taught Stewie that word in the first place, Lois went on a journey of self-reflection, but we're a little more concerned with the how of it all. As Brian asked his young companion, I don't get it, Stewie, you've been talking forever. Why did everyone suddenly understand you now? It's a fair question, but as the show's executive producers explained, it's probably not worth much thought. So this is going back to that old joke where Stewie can talk sometimes, like he talks to Brian and he's the one that understands him, but for the most part, like no one else really understands Stewie. They just kind of pretend he's not talking, but it's gotten a little complicated over the years. It's gotten a little confusing. Sometimes Family Guy addresses that directly. That appears to be what's happening here. And what they eventually did in the episode, from what I remember, was like Stewie can be heard if he says something like really loud and he means it. Like he talks a lot normally, like I'm talking right now, and he'll talk to Brian about normal stuff and he has like a full voice like he's an adult, but Stewie's still a baby character. You got to remember, these characters don't age. It's like a Simpsons kind of thing or other cartoons. Like they don't technically age like they should. Like normally these characters would all be 20 years older, and that would be apparent if it was a live action show and you saw the actors age too, but they don't do that here. They kind of play with that concept here even. It's like a parody of that. So for Stewie's case, he could talk, we can hear him, Brian interacts with him and can hear him. Sometimes other characters can hear him too, like other babies, other characters, depending on the situation. But in this case, it's like, yeah, if he says something loud and emotional, it comes through. So when he dropped that curse word, that happened in church, other people heard it. Eventually later in the episode, he says mommy for the first time, and that's the next word they hear. And that's just because, you know, he eventually says it because he's yelling for his mom, and then it's like a new word that he says. So that's kind of their explanation. This episode showcases Stewie's first word in the tradition traditional sense that parents always document the first word they understand. EP's Rich Apple and Alex Sulkin tell TV line. Otherwise, yes, it's Stewie's 1,345,000th word. Following the F-bomb debacle, Stewie uttered his second word, mommy, and although he wasn't willing to perform like a trained SEAL for Lois' friends on Instagram, the moment suggested that Stewie might not hate his mother as much as he once did. Like most of the big babies who write for Family Guy, Stewie is in denial about how much his mommy means to him. Apple and Sulkin explain, please don't tell our mommies. Sunday's premiere also featured a delightfully twisted through line about Caillou, brought on by Lois binging the French-Canadian cartoon in hopes of proving that it taught Stewie how to swear. Giving all the credit to writer Patrick Meehan, the EPs tell us you can always tell whose kids on staff force them to watch cartoons that try their patience. So this is the bit about Caillou. I'm going to expand about that just a little bit more before we move on, because it is a Canadian show. It is a typical kind of topic we've discussed here in relation to Arthur, another show. Caillou has similarities. It's for kids. What they goof on right away with this show is like Stewie watches it and he loves it like a lot of kids do. Like I've had my friends' kids watch this show. Like it's pretty common, but it's also just weird. Like adults don't get it. It's kind of slow, and it has this narrator, which is another joke they make in Family Guy. They end up having their own narrator for a few scenes to kind of like imitate Caillou. And then the other thing they goof on is they try to address the fact that Caillou is bald and he's supposed to be like a 4-year-old kid. So it's weird that he has a bald head in the show, and they kind of goof on that. They also reference a kind of conspiracy, a kind of fan theory that Caillou has like cancer or something. They try to ask about that on Family Guy, and people have mentioned that in the public too, because they're wondering why this kid's bald. But I think it's just a style choice. It's just the way they animated it. It's kind of like how Charlie Brown is bald in his cartoon or something like that. But the other thing, the last thing I'll mention is there is one point where they talk about Caillou's parents, and even going further, Family Guy sits next to Caillou's dad, and he's like this real beta Canadian. And it's just, that's the funniest part. It's the biggest goof on Canada, and it really brings the whole show together. I would say that's the most, kind of controversial reference, them goofing on Canada, something we do here, and something I think we can all get behind. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw, and until next time, have a great day.